everyone, welcome back to our channel. I'm Anne from the Sussex Handmade Soap Company. Sorry for the background noise today, but we are actually out at a fair and we are taking a moment during the lunch hour when it's relatively quiet to try and film our intro and outro for this week's video, because otherwise we're going to be running really short of time to get it done when we get home. Today we are doing a video that actually does kind of involve fairs and being out and selling, and I am showing you how I create my spreadsheets that show how much profit or loss we make at our fairs. So I'll be taking you through all the calculations and things to consider when you are actually selling at fairs. It's kind of a fairly basic look at accounting. For example, the spreadsheet, it's got fuel costs on there, but it doesn't have customer.
Yeah, you can't see.
I've got it. It doesn't have things like car upkeep costs, like MOTs and new tyres and things like that aren't kind of factored into the spreadsheet. So it's kind of a basic look. So you're talking fuel costs, stand costs, production costs, things like that. I hope I'm still in shot. Wayne has gone off to serve a customer right now. I hope you can still see me. But that's basically what today's video is all about. So hopefully it will help you guys.
So as with all my spreadsheets, I'm creating this one in Microsoft Excel. And the very first thing that I do is pop in my headings. So you can see here I have already written my headings. The first heading here is the name of the item. So that is the name of the item that you are selling. In this case, I am doing a spreadsheet for our soaps. So it will be all the individual scent names that go under this heading. In section B, we have got the cost of production per item, and that is in pounds. So that will be the cost to you to create 1 bar of soap. So for example, here I have written honey and lavender already. So in cost of production, I will put the cost of producing 1 bar of our honey and lavender soap. And it's really important to get your cost of goods correct here, because if they aren't correct, then nothing else will work out or be correct. And I have already done a video on how to actually work out your cost of goods. So if you aren't sure how to do that, I will link now to our other video that does explain how to work out how much your items are costing you to make. In heading number C, we have got number sold at £4, and in heading number D, I have got number sold at £5. These two headings here are both just our sale prices. So we sell our soaps at £5 each, or we sell 3 for £12. 3 for £12 obviously works out at £4 each, which is why we have a £4 and a £5 section just here. Now, when we are actually at our shows and we are selling, we do have a tally sheet where we write down exactly what we sell. And we have got one of those pens that writes in various different colours of ink. And when we sell something at full price, so we sell a single bar at £5, we mark down on our tally sheet in black ink. And when we sell, say, 3 for £12, we always mark down in red ink. And that means that when it comes to actually working out the accounts later on, there is a really quick, easy visual reference to see what was sold at £4 and what was sold at £5. And that makes it really easy for recording the numbers just here in our sheets under our £4 and our £5 section. Heading number E is the cost of production in pounds, and that is for everything that we have sold. So it's not the same as column number B, where we are only putting down the cost of production of one item. Column number E here will be the total cost of production of everything that we have sold. And the sale price here in column F again is the sale price of everything that we have sold. And in column number G we have profits. Just over here we have got fuel costs, and just down here we have got all the kind of summary of everything together. We're not going to worry about those boxes right now. We will come to them in a little bit. So what you are going to need to do when you are populating your spreadsheet is very simply record all of your individual items that you are selling, and I have already done this here with our soaps. I have listed all of the individual soaps that we sell and the different scents that we do, and I have listed them all down here. Then you're going to need to fill in your individual cost of production. I'm not going to give you our exact, honest, true cost. I am just going to write kind of like one for everything, just to make this really quick and easy. But remember, it is in pounds. So if the honey and lavender cost us 80p, it doesn't, but if it did, we would be writing 0.8 for 80 pence. Number sold at £4 and number sold at £5 are really kind of self-explanatory. There is no formulas or anything needed. It is simply recording how many you sold at a specific show at that price. So if I sold 3 honey and lavender bars for £12 and that was all I sold that day in the honey and lavender scent, I would write 3, because 3 for 12, £4 each, so each bar was sold for £4, so 3 in there. And say I sold another couple at full price, so a fiver, I would then put 2 in there. These two columns are very easy, just recording the number that you sold at that price. Now moving on to cost of production, this is where we first start to need to input an actual formula to work out our costs. So we begin with an equals sign, because all formulas in Excel start with an equals sign. And then we are going to open our brackets and we are going to do C3, so this column here, plus D3, so this column here. Then we are going to close the brackets and then we are going to times them by this column here, column B3. And if we click enter, that tells us how much it cost us to produce the 5 bars that we sold. So it's basically doing 5 times 80 pence and it's giving you the answer of £4. And that is how we work out how much our goods cost us to produce. For sale price in column F, again it is another formula. We are starting with an equal sign and I am opening my brackets and I am doing column C3. And again, you always want to work with column numbers. You wouldn't want to just write 3 in there, because then this spreadsheet would not be able to be easily used for future sales. So always go with the actual cell number rather than the number that is in the cell. So we are going with column C3 and we are timesing that by the price we sold at. So we are timesing at by 4. We are closing the bracket and then we are adding, opening the brackets again, column D3, and we are timesing that by 5 because these are the bars that were sold at £5 each. We are closing the bracket and we are hitting enter. And that tells us that we sold a total value of £22 worth of honey and lavender soap. And obviously these figures, as I said, they are all invented. This is purely just to show you how we actually record our takings and our profit for a show. The last column here for profit, perhaps one of the most important columns, and we do use another formula here. So we start with the equal sign. And this one is a very simple formula. All it is the sale price, so cell F3, and then we minus the cost of production, cell E3, we hit enter, and that tells us that we made £18 profit from our honey and lavender soaps. And then with these 3 columns here that all have formulas, you don't need to write the formula each time for each different line. You can highlight just here, so that little plus sign comes up, then you can left click and drag it all the way down and that will copy the formula down for you. And again we'll do it with column F as well. And again with column G. And obviously they all say 0 at the minute because no numbers have been inputted. But let's just rattle through a few numbers just for fun, just to show you that it does work. Let's say we sold a few, just popping some in here and there, just randomly clicking where I wish. And as you can see, it is now working out all those sums for me and telling me how much profit I am making from each item that I sell. Down at the bottom under the total column, and you can just click at the bottom of each column, and then if you go up here to this section up here, click on formulas and then click on auto sum, and you can drag this box up to the top and hit enter, and it will add everything in this column up for you. So I'll do it again with the other columns now. So I have added up all of those individual columns now, and I just want to clarify as well that up here where I've got number sold at £4 and number sold at £5, if you are selling at different price points, then you would put your own selling price in here. And indeed, if you have got more than 2 price points, you can add in as many columns as you need with all of your individual price points. I'm only showing you this spreadsheet with our soaps as an example because it makes it a little bit easier to get your head round if this is just something kind of new to you that you're just getting used to. On our actual sales spreadsheet, try saying that 10 times quickly, you can see that we have got a lot more headings, and that is all of the price points that we sell at, so that we can record everything individually and properly. But I say, for this example, it's a lot easier for me to just show you with just a couple of the price points. One thing you will just need to remember is that when you are recording your sales prices, is that here, for example, where we've got C3, so this column here, times 4, the 4 is actually referring to the sale price. So if your sale price was, say, £6, you would do C3 times 6. If it was £10, you would do C3 times 10. So just make sure that you are timesing the number you have sold by the actual price that you have sold them at. So now we have got a very basic rundown of our sale prices, our item profit and our cost of production. This profit here is not going to be the actual profit for the day. There are other costs that we need to take account of, and we shall take account of them now. One of the most confusing is fuel costs, and I've got a separate little box here for my fuel costs. And the way I work out fuel costs is that when I fill up my car before I go to a show, I take note of how much the fuel cost is, and that is displayed in litres for the UK. So what is fuel at the moment? I don't know, about £1.25 a litre in our area. It may be higher where you are, it may be lower where you are. Pop in how much you have paid per litre for your fuel in pounds, so £1.25. Now, this is where it gets a little confusing because I need to work out how much my fuel costs per gallon because my car economy is measured in miles per gallon. So what I need to do is work out how many litres there are in a gallon, and it is 4.54 litres in a gallon. So here we need to do a formula. We do equals, and we highlight the cell containing our cost per litre, and we times that by 4.54 and we hit enter, and that tells us that fuel is costing us £5.68 per gallon. Then you want to know your car economy, and that is how many miles it will get to the gallon. This is kind of tricky to measure completely accurately. Your car economy will be very different if you are driving on a motorway as to if you are driving in a town. So you can't measure it to, 100% accuracy, which is really kind of annoying to me because I like accuracy in everything. But for my car, I just put in 45 miles to the gallon, which is actually a little on the low side. My car probably actually gets a few more miles to the gallon. But in terms of profit and spending and things like that, I would rather go lower, so that we are actually potentially making a little bit more profit than what this spreadsheet will show. So I'm going lower at 45 miles per gallon. And then we need to work out the cost per mile. And the way that we work out the cost per mile is with a formula. So we start with an equals, and it is the fuel cost in pounds per gallon, so this column here, and then we divide that by the car economy in miles per gallon, and we hit enter. So that is telling me that each mile that I travel is costing me 13 pence. Then I need to know how far I have travelled for the fare. And the way I do this, I just go onto Google Maps and I type my postcode where I live, and I type the postcode where the fare is, and I look at how many miles it is. So the last fare we went to, I think, was about 40 miles away, so that is 40 miles. But remember, you are going there and you are coming back again. So a 40-mile point A to point B becomes an 80-mile round trip because you are returning. So we type in 80, so that is how many miles I travelled to my last fare in total, there and back. And the total cost, you then need a formula, so you do equals, and you do the cost per mile, so you highlight that column, so J7, and you times it by the distance travelled, so column J8. Remember, we work in cell numbers rather than actual published figures. We hit enter, and that tells me that that trip cost me £10.09. So we have now worked out our fuel costs as best as we kind of can. So now we know our fuel costs, it is time to actually fill in this box just here. So the first column we have got is for the takings, and that is the total takings. So that is your sale price. So in this column, hit equals for the formula, and you go for your total sale price. So this column here, highlight that, click enter, and it moves the 204 down into the takings section. For cost of production, you are doing much the same. You write equals, you go to the total for your cost of production, you click on that cell, you hit enter, and it brings the 45 down here for you. For your stall cost, whatever price your stall has cost you is what you need to pop in to this cell here. So let's say that our stall was costing us, what should we say, £35. You would pop 35 in there. If it was costing you £50, you would pop in 50. You guys kind of get the idea. Petrol. So this is where our fuel costs come into play. So again, we hit the equals because it classes it as a formula, so we need to start with an equals. And then you go up to the total cost for your fuel, you click there and you hit enter, and it brings the £10.09 down into your petrol cost section. Now, additional expense, that is for anything else that isn't already covered under cost of production, stall costs and petrol. So say, for example, you are travelling to a fair that is quite a way away and it's a 2-day event and you are staying over in a hotel. If you're staying over in a hotel and that hotel has cost you £30, you would pop 30 in there for additional expense. And then just so I remember what it was for, I would write in here hotel, just to remind myself what it was for. Similarly, if it is a busy fair and you are on your own and you don't think you're going to be able to manage by yourself, and you've taken a friend with you and said, you know, I will pay you £30, or you've taken somebody to help you, kind of staff or whatever, and you are paying them, pop down how much you are paying out in this column here. And that would just kind of help you to know what those additional expenses are and what they were for. But we don't tend to have additional expenses because we do not have staff and we don't stay away very often. We have a couple of events this year that we're staying away for, but most of them we go there and back in one day. So we don't generally have additional expenses, but it's nice to have that box there just in case. Now, the total profit, the bit that we are all waiting for, the exciting part, and it's basically your takings minus all of your expenses here. So we do that as a formula. We do equals, and we click on the takings column, F27, so 204, and we do minus this column. Then we hit minus again, and hit this column, minus again, hit this column, minus again, and hit this one, even though it's blank, we include it. Then we hit enter, and that tells us that our overall profit for this fair was £113.91. And as I said, this is a fictional fair. This fair does not exist. This is just me showing you an example of how we record our takings and our expenses and work out our profit from doing you know, any fairs that we do. To be honest, we have just done a fair this weekend. I don't know our profit yet because actually I'm recording this video before we have been to the fair. But when I get back from the fair on Monday evening, I will be running through this spreadsheet to work out how we have done for the weekend. And the bank holiday, it's a 3-day fair. It's going to be tough, but it's hopefully going to be fun and profitable. So this is how we use Microsoft Excel to create a spreadsheet to show us what profit we are making from our fairs. And I do this with every single fair that we go to, and I keep records. I have all the spreadsheets from every fair we have ever done all together in a nice file on my computer. And it's also really nice to be able to actually use that information to look back on as well, because there's some fairs we did in 2019 and now it is 2 years later. Last year obviously everything was cancelled, and now we are being invited back to some of those fairs, and I can't remember how we did at all of them, and some of them I'm like, was it worth it? Do we want to do it again? Having these spreadsheets is also really helpful for that, because I can look up, you know, the details of a fair I did 2 years ago, and I can see how profitable it was, and I can work out if I want to do that fair again. So as well as being really good obviously for accounting and record keeping, it is also a really good memory jogger to tell you if a fair was kind of worth it or not. So that is how we create our fair profit spreadsheets.
So thank you for watching today's video, and that is just kind of how we do a basic kind of accountability of our profit and loss. As I said, there are kind of certain costs that we haven't factored in, things like wear and tear on the car for travelling and things like that. So it's a very basic kind of way of calculating a kind of ballpark figure of whether you are in profit or loss, and it kind of works well enough for what we need it to work for. I better get back to actually helping Wayne sell at this show now. And just to kind of clarify, these weird green sheets that are surrounding our stall, they're not ours. They were actually put up by the organisers. Kind of feels like we're in a hospital operating theatre, if I'm being honest. But yeah, I'm going to get back to selling now. You can always view our website just here if you want to have a look at the kind of things we do sell, and you can use our discount code also here if you want to get a little discount. And we shall see you on Friday, and we shall be doing another salt bar video on Friday, so we shall see you then. Wish us luck for the rest of the fair. Bye!
Bye.